Selamat pagi, Kido here.
And Mio here to tell you that today we have Death Gods,
Magic potions,
Production Purgatory,
and
a llama,
in what we consider to be the most underrated Disney movie ever made.
Emperor's New Groove.
Emperor's New Groove.
And its abysmal sequel, Kronk's New Groove.
Womp womp.
What? You don't know what Emperor's New Groove is?
Emperor's New Groove is an animated comedy released by Disney in the year 2000. We'll talk about what the movie is about pretty soon, but let's briefly look behind the scenes, as it gets pretty wild back there. Behind the scenes, that is.
After Lion King got released in 1994, Disney started working on a movie set in ancient Inca called Kingdom of the Sun.
It would feature a spoiled emperor and a peasant who would look exactly alike and would swap places for funsies. Meanwhile, a character called Yzma would try to summon the freaking god of death, Supe, to destroy the sun, because if the sun is gone, she won't get any more wrinkles, and thus her aging will cease and desist.
It's a bit extreme.
After discovering that the emperor and the peasant have switched places, Yzma turns the emperor into a llama and starts blackmailing the peasant.
In the end, the emperor would learn humility and fall in love with the llama keeper woman, and the peasant would fall in love with the emperor's soon-to-be fiancée, and they defeat Yzma, I assume.
We're only basing this info off of summaries online, so it may not be 100% accurate. Anyways, Sting the musician made 8 total songs for the movie. That's a lot.
So you might be thinking, that doesn't sound too bad, why didn't that movie get made? Well, that's because Pocahontas and Hunchback of Notre Dame did frick all at the box office in 1995 and 1996, and Disney was a panicking,
And they had to change the planakin.
and said the movie needed more humor. Anakin.
But now the movie was taking too long to make. It wouldn't be ready to release in the summer of 2000. This would ruin promotional deals with McDonald's and Coca-Cola.
And the mouse did not like that. No, 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 no.
After some test screenings, the original idea for the film was said to have too many elements.
Now, at this point, there are 2 directors, Roger Allers and Mark Dindal. They had 2 different ideas for the movie, with Allers sticking more to the original script, while Dindal wanted to make more of a comedy.
After each of them wrote up their own versions, Disney decided to go with Dindal's version. Allers was cool with Dindal going with the comedy version, but he stepped down from being co-director.
Now the movie had a production cost of around $30 million on a dormant project with only 25% of the movie animated. That isn't good at all.
On top of that, the CEO was not happy about Allers leaving and gave the producer of the movie, Randy Fulmer, only 2 weeks to salvage the project, or
Connection terminated.
Eventually, after renaming the project from Kingdom of the Sun to Kingdom in the Sun, crazy, I know, story work began. While changes were made, they still kept some elements, like David Spade as the Emperor and Eartha Kitt as Yzma.
but one punishment: death. Gods! Take him away!
a storyboard artist from the original Kingdom of the Sun suggested making the peasant character older and more of a father figure, and that character would become the Pacha, voiced by John Goodman, that we know today.
Later, David Reynolds, a former late-night comedy writer, would pitch a simple comedy that's basically a buddy road picture, with 2 guys being chased in the style of a Chuck Jones tune, but faster paced. Disney said, go nuts.
Later on, a character called Kronk would be added as Yzma's henchman, and he would be voiced by Patrick Warburton. Also, the original name for the emperor was Monko, but they changed it to Kuzco after they discovered that Monko, with a K, was a Japanese slang term for the see you next Tuesday word.
Well, they finally caught that one. Because of production shifts, all of Sting's songs were cut, which resulted in Sting saying, "At first I was angry and perturbed, then I wanted some vengeance."
I don't think Disney liked how that sounded.
So they allowed 3 of the 6 songs to remain on the soundtrack.
In 1999, more movie elements were dropped, including some cast members. Sting stuck around the project, possibly to cause some mischief, who knows, maybe vengeance, and was involved in making songs for the beginning and the ending.
For one fact, Sting didn't want to do the opening song because he thought that he was too old, and told Disney to get someone younger. The singer they chose was Tom Jones. Tom Jones is 11 years older than Sting. That's just weird.
In 2000, the film was officially named The Emperor's New Groove, and would be released in December of that year.
By now, the animation had changed quite a lot. Originally, there was a stupid amount of work put into everything, to the point where a supervising animator spent a whole trip to Peru just drawing rocks.
For the new version of the movie, Director Dindal wanted a simpler approach that emphasizes the characters rather than overwhelming special effects or cinematic techniques.
There were 400 artists involved in the film, and some of the stuff they did behind the scenes would take far too long to describe, but here are some videos to watch later.
During production, there was some suspicion that Emperor's New Groove would be rather similar to a DreamWorks movie named The Road to El Dorado. But Dindal said those rumors were stupid, and you were stupid for believing them.
Disney would then decide to not promote the film very much at all because they wanted to focus on marketing 102 Dalmatians for Thanksgiving. Now, I don't mind 102 Dalmatians, but this would end up being a massive mistake, since that movie would end up being a box office disappointment, with mostly negative reviews from critics. Nice going, Disney, you screwed up!
As for Emperor's New Groove, that was also a box office disappointment, but I personally 100% blame Disney's lack of marketing. It did end up, however, doing pretty well in home entertainment.
Now that we're done with the behind-the-scenes drama, let us now look at the final product of Emperor's New Groove. And if you just want to hear about Kronk's New Groove, just skip this part of the video, but I'm sure you'll regret it.
This movie starts with a sad-looking llama in the rain, and a narration from said llama that this was not how things always used to be. Basically one of those cliche, I bet you're wondering how I got here openings.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up.
But it's funny, so I'll forgive it.
It turns out he's actually Emperor Kuzco, and he's totally not self-absorbed, self-centered, narcissistic, rather unlikable, immature beyond all belief.
Kuzco has a very catchy theme song, but don't you interrupt his groove now.
No! You threw off my groove!
I'm sorry, but you've thrown off the Emperor's groove.
Based, kind of. I'm sure he'll be fine. Kuzco has no friends, but doesn't matter because he's the king of the world!
Whilst Kuzco was living it up as emperor, the royal advisor is a woman named Yzma. But this advisor is trying to run the kingdom behind Kuzco's back.
It is no concern of mine whether your family has... What was it again?
Food?
Ha! You really should have thought of that before you became peasants.
So, Kuzco fires Yzma, and by proxy, he fires her personal assistant, Kronk. He's a big dumb guy, but he has a heart of gold. Fool's gold.
Soon after that, we meet Pacha, the village leader. He's a great guy, with a family whose members are iconic in their own right. We'll see them later, don't you worry.
Pacha learns that Kuzco is going to up and destroy his village to make a water park, and is deeply unsettled by this turn of events.
I can't believe you've done this.
Kuzco gets invited to dinner with Yzma, and to the surprise of absolutely no one, it was a trap.
Yzma tells Kronk to get the poison for Kuzco. The poison chosen especially to kill Kuzco. Kuzco's poison.
That poison?
Yes, that poison.
But hark! It appears it was extract of llama.
So rather than killing the llama Kuzco, Yzma tells Kronk to dump the body. But Kronk has a moral crisis, and we meet the Shoulder Angel and Shoulder Devil.
Look what I can do.
What? What does that have to do with anything?
No. He's got a point.
After some shenanigans, Kronk fumbles the bag with Kuzco in it, and the bag ends up with Pacha.
Mom, you and I both know that it's impossible for him to have grown in the last 5 minutes. Isn't it?
Look how much you've grown.
What?
Haha, see, I told you.
After some shock and panic from both parties,
Demon llama!
Where?
Pacha offers to guide Kuzco back to the palace so that Yzma can change Kuzco back. Note, at this point they do not know that Yzma is murderous. He'll do this as long as Kuzco decides to not destroy his village, but the Emperor refuses. You know, that doesn't go too well, and eventually Kuzco accepts the offer.
Unfortunately, this old bridge is a bit rotted. And Pacha falls through, because he's fat.
Kuzco tries to betray Pacha and leave him there, but that decision does not work out well either.
But hey, he saves Pacha's life, so maybe he's starting to develop a soul. Pacha decides to help him anyway, with the hope that the Emperor will change his mind down the line and not destroy his village.
Kuzco, Yzma hears the unfortunate news that Kuzco is still alive.
He's still alive?
So she and Kronk will have to go find him before he can return alive, because that would be pretty awkward.
The search does not go well, but lucky for them, Kronk is a junior chipmunk and thus is well versed in squirrel, and they find out from Bucky, the squirrel voiced by Bob Bergen, what direction they need to go.
Kuzco and Pacha stop by a diner, posing as newlyweds and discussing Kuzco as Pacha's wife. Dragging a cartoon? Never before has that happened.
Pacha eats a pill bug, which, actually is entirely period inaccurate. They should be eating corn, potatoes, guinea pigs, alpaca meat, or llama meat.
Yzma and Kronk stop at the same diner, and Pacha overhears their plans, though it seems that Kronk is more concerned with managing the kitchen, for which he has somehow ended up being the chef.
4 combos, extra bacon on the side, 2 chili cheese samplers, a basket of liver and onion rings, a catch of the day, and a steak cut in the shape of a trout. You got all that, honey?
3 oinkers wearing pants, plate of hot air, basket of grandma's breakfast, and change the bull to a gill. Got it.
Pacha tries to warn Kuzco, but Kuzco doesn't believe him and accuses Pacha of being a traitor and goes to find Yzma, but overhears them talking about killing him and how nobody misses him. Man, they really need to start talking quieter.
Now Kuzco's all alone and dejected where we saw him at the beginning.
I didn't do anything, and they ruined my life and took everything I had.
Hey, give it a rest up there, will ya?
Kuzco wanders through a field of alpacas and llamas and finds Hark! Pacha!
Hey, listen, Pacha. You know, what I said to you back at the diner, that I didn't really...
You tired of being a llama?
Yes!
Kuzco and Pacha stop by the family house.
Go to the palace, find the lab, and change him back.
Hi there.
But shortly thereafter, a grand chase occurs across the map to Yzma's secret lab.
Yzma's got that secret lab.
By the way, it's worth mentioning that Kuzco is rather clueless in most ways and rather selfish, but he's not dumb or blind, as seen by the fact that he's all too aware of the lab.
Hark again! Yzma and Kronk actually made it back first!
How did we, Kronk?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Kronk is ordered to take them out, but he has yet another moral quandary.
Where's the other guy? Yo! Toss me this knife and ask me to, take them out. And
It is cleared up, however, after Yzma dares to insult his spinach puffs. Oh.
should have seen that coming.
The guards are called, so the dynamic duo run while trying to escape and find the right vial that will turn Kuzco back into a human.
It's utter chaos! And Kuzco and Pacha take flight!
By the end of it, Kuzco is a llama again, and Yzma has somehow been turned into a cat. They have one vial left, but Pacha's about to fall to his demise.
In an act of selflessness, Kuzco rescues Pacha while Yzma grabs the vial.
I win.
Kuzco returned himself to his rightful position, but his experience has turned him into a better, nicer man. His new vacation spot is just on the mountain with his new friends. The end.
What a wonderful, hilarious, and heartwarming story. We left out a lot of details, so if you haven't seen it, watch it for yourself.
I would consider this to be one of the few 10 out of 10 Disney movies. It's got good pacing, and it's a movie that we would watch multiple times in a row and still enjoy.
The voice actors do an excellent job, and the humor is peak. The animation is really pleasing to the eye. The character designs are great, and the music is superb.
TLDR, good quality overall. I don't even know why Disney makes movies anymore if they can't top this.
Truly, a classic and underrated movie.
Now on to whatever this is.
This movie opens much the same as the first movie, but this time Kronk is sitting all sad in a massive puddle of cheese? A clear callback to the first movie.
He is very sad because he lost his career, his happiness, everything. But what happened?
Well, well, it all started earlier that day.
Kronk is working his chef and food delivery job and has a theme song of his own, which is a bit funky.
Down the street with a merry gleam in his eye. He's loved by everyone in this town.
Not as good as the song from the first movie, but not too bad.
The animation also seems a bit stiffer than the original, but the style looks close enough.
So, right about now, you're probably wondering, hey, where's that Emperor guy? Wella, boom, baby!
What are you doing here?
Kuzco is in this movie. As well he should be, I guess. It is worth noting that this is the only straight-to-home video Disney sequel to bring back all the OG voice actors, which is pretty neat.
Everything is cool, dare I say groovy, until Kronk receives a llamagram from his dad that he's on his way. Kronk panics at a scene that is a callback to the first movie's planning scene. Callbacks happen quite a lot, perhaps a little too much.
Kronk tells the waitress, Marta, about how his father thought he'd never achieve anything by talking to animals and cooking. All he wants to do is get a thumbs up from his old poppy. We gathered this info via flashback.
We then go back to the present. Well, never mind, we're going back to another flashback to a few days ago.
Just to help everyone remember, we had our first intro. You flashed back to earlier that day. Now we're flashing back again. They could have just cut out the intro in the beginning.
After serving lunch at the senior home, Kronk is lured into a meeting with Yzma and convinced to help her sell a youth potion to the old folks. Oh, and Yzma has a cattail from the last movie. Not sure how to feel about that.
Pull the lever!
This lever.
I worked out the bugs.
Just checking.
Yay, another callback, this time to the secret lab in the first movie. We get a surprise musical number from Yzma during this scene, which is very odd since the first movie only had 2 songs, one at the beginning and one at the end.
I guess Sting finally got his wish.
Does Sting have anything to do with this?
Go check later.
I did not.
All the old people, including his friend Rudy, sell everything to buy more youth potion, and Kronk is able to buy a nice house on a hill, but Yzma monologues about how she tricked them all with a placebo.
Immediately afterward, Kuzco pops up and explains everything again. I'm beginning to think he doesn't have an actual part in this movie.
It's a scam!
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Another callback!
Not gonna lie, most of the jokes aren't hitting for us so far, and quite a few of them seem to rely on wait, that can't be right humor. This Lord of the Rings reference is a little bit funny, and the dialogue caught us off guard, so kudos.
We even sold the senior home.
You sold your home?
Yeah, to you.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, Kronk realizes the truth and exposes it before Yzma can get elected as emperor.
Wait, what?
Everyone turns on Yzma, and the old people chase her down in an honestly kind of lame chase scene. I mean, it has some classic cartoony visual gags, but it doesn't hit as hard as that scene where Pacha's family is trying to delay Yzma in the first movie.
Disappointed!
The old people realize they're only as old as they feel. What a nice message, I guess. Yzma turns herself into a cute rabbit to disarm their vengeance, but that doesn't work out too well.
More shoulder angel devil shenanigans, and Kronk gives back his house to the old people.
But that's not all. Kronk's next story about how he lost his girlfriend takes place while he was leading his junior chipmunk troop. I can't figure out whether this is before or after the last story, but we shall assume after.
Wrong movie.
Kronk's troop has been #1 in every event for a long time, but now it seems a new troop leader named Birdwell is trying to steal their thunder.
Don't worry about this Birdwell guy, whoever he is.
I just love it when movies refer to an unknown character as a guy, very obviously setting up the fact that they are a girl. So lovely.
Kronk and Birdwell, who's British for some reason, get along swimmingly. That is until the swimming competition gets hated, and due to some weird rules, Kronk's team gets disqualified.
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Pacha's son Tipo is especially disappointed.
While the animation isn't as good as the first movie, it isn't as bad as, say, Megamind Rules, which isn't saying anything, to be honest. This short character rushes for a bit when trying to catch up to the rest of the... The short character rushes for a bit when trying to catch up with the rest of the troop, which is a nice detail. Moving on.
It's war from there on out. Despite their obvious infatuation, they compete savagely against each other in the games. Naturally, because this is a predictable plot point, the two teams of chippers are tied before the last game.
The last competition is a cheerleading event, and both troop leaders are set on winning, though there seems to be a mix between whether it's do anything to win or keep the focus on fun. Tipo has a conversation with his own shoulder angel and devil and decides it's cheating time.
Since the teams are all sick of this bull crap, Kronk and Birdwell both decide, individually, to make raisin bread to cheer up the troops. However, they end up fighting over the ingredients. Birdwell spills some woman tears, and Kronk man apologizes.
I'm the worst troop leader ever.
It's facts!
I'm the worst troop leader ever.
It's facts! It's not facts. These facts are not facts.
And they both bake bread in the most flirtatious way I've ever seen in a movie. Some of this actually looks a little suggestive if you ask me.
After an overly extensive dance sequence, they clarify to the troops that the rivalry is over, but Tipo misses the memo. Kronk's team's performance goes well as expected. I don't know, I'd give it like maybe 6 out of 10. Docked points for the sabotage!
A dubious little creature getting up to mischief. This is no good.
Disaster! Utter disaster! Kronk has his monogrammed oven mitts he gave to Birdwell thrown back in his face because he does frick all to explain the situation.
And that's how Kronk lost his woman. Shame, really. I don't even know why he takes the heat for Tipo. All Kronk had to do was explain everything, but I guess he's such a softie and a fool!
End that flashback to go back to the flashback before the present day.
Huh?
Kronk's father is nearly here.
Kronk asks to borrow Pacha's wife and kids, and while the wife in question isn't too keen, Pacha, being a kind-hearted soul, is willing to sacrifice his marriage to help out a friend. Tipo wants to help too as well.
But before anyone can make a firm decision, Poppy is here, and he's ready to kick butt and take names. Pacha and Tipo dash off to do something, and Kronk is hiding.
We see Poppy, and he is... comically short. That's hysterical, because as you know, short people are really funny.
Chicha reluctantly plays along, and Kronk manages to trick Poppy with Pacha's wife, kids, and house. But oh no! Pacha didn't get the memo. Like father, like son, he shows up dressed as a woman to pretend to be his wife. So they improvise that Pacha is Kronk's mother-in-law.
Enchanté. Now I see where Chicha gets her looks.
There is a lot wrong with this.
At least the theme of cross-dressing has carried over to the sequel. Tipo runs into Rudy and passes on that Kronk needs help. So Kronk juggles lying to his dad and trying to cook in the kitchen. The fondue pot is boiling. There's like 2 or 3 Mrs. Kronks.
I thought I was the lovely Mrs. Kronk.
Look at us putting on dresses, pretending to be women.
That's actually kind of funny.
Boom, baby! Like how I weaseled myself in the movie? Nice.
Everything boils over, literally, and we see Kronk as he was in the beginning of the movie, covered in cheese. By the way, it is worth noting the ancient Incas did not have any dairy, so they did not eat cheese.
Kronk is sad and explains to Poppy that he lied about everything. He's still just a humble fry cook, and Pacha ain't even a woman. But then his friends all explain to Poppy that Kronk did have success in those things Poppy wanted Kronk to have, but he gave them up for his friends.
Kronk says he wouldn't give them up for anything, not even Poppy's approval, and that he's happy where he is. And then Poppy gives him the finger, the good finger, a thumbs up.
Yay, he's proud of Kronk. And if things couldn't get better, Budwell shows up out of nowhere and they're back together. Wow, I guess Tipo finally fessed up.
And Yzma is still endangered. The end.
By the way, the movie is only about an hour and 20 minutes, and there's around 13 minutes of credits. In said credits, there are mini pictures pasted in there that show Kronk and Budwell getting married and buying a house, how sweet, the end, for realist time. Time to review!
Is this movie the worst movie ever made?
Absolutely not.
Well, it is a movie, I guess. Barely. Seriously, the story's all over the place. Flash forward, flash back, too much, too little.
It was this close to being an anthology of short stories, but they were all tied together rather haphazardly into an homage to the first movie. They should have spent more time trying to create a new engaging story rather than serve up some sloppy leftovers.
The humor doesn't hit nearly as hard as the first movie. It just lacks any real comedic punch. Ooh! Overall, the movie plays more like a kid's movie than a family movie. Plus, the jokes are pretty repetitive and sort of exhausting, though there are some funny parts.
We still love the character of Kronk, but he's probably not the best choice for a main character. And listen, this movie, I said listen! This movie has a lot of good elements. The original awesome voice cast, fairly good animation despite the lower quality, great characters, and even some more songs.
The problem is that a lot of this is wasted on a sucky story that seems thrown together as an afterthought. It's no Last Jedi as far as destroying characters and ruining franchises, but it's more like Cars 2, a waste of time. There is a series that happened afterwards I remember watching on TV back in the day. I remember it being pretty good. Maybe it sucks. Who knows?
I saw some funny clips online at least. And if this video does well, we might do a video talking about some underrated Disney shows. But back to the main point. This movie didn't kill off the franchise by any means.
The main reason this film got a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes is probably because it's so disappointing compared to the original.
Remember, the tomato meter is just to show how many reviewers recommend it. It averages about 4 out of 5 out of 10 stars, so people kind of like it. A lot of people have some childhood memories of it from what we can tell in the comments of our own channel, so maybe I'd give it a 3, maybe 4 stars, but could be higher or lower, I don't know.
What did you think though? Let us know if you like the sequel, or if you think it deserved to be tossed in the trash.
Also, tell us if there are any other franchises you'd like us to dive into, or review, or whatever this video counts as.
Please feel free to like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to stay notified of whenever we release a video on other animated content, or perhaps weird drama related to animated content.
Yes, so hit that notification bell. If you want to go hear about the epic fall-off of the Megamind franchise, check out this video over here.
Or if you want something different, check out this video over here.
And until we see you there, in the wise words of Bucky,
goodbye.